The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from Amsterdam and across the world online. You're now watching The More Show, and I'm your host, Kevin Moore. For the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. On today's show, I'm about to be joined with my guest, Chad Cooper. Now, Chad is a coach leading a life of example. He was retired at 35 years old and coaches and mentors across several fields in order to inspire others to grasp their dreams and execute them with passion. Now, he joins me today to discuss his latest book, Time Isn't the Problem, You Are. 4 strategies to transform stress into success levels. Chad Cooper, welcome to the show.
Excited to be here. I have been looking forward to having this conversation with you, Kevin.
No, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to this conversation as well. We've had a bit of time just off air there, just to go over a few things with your work as well, and it's really quite interesting. Did you ever see yourself going in this direction?
Well, I guess it depends on the direction. Did I ever see myself as being somebody that's able to help other people or in leadership positions? I've really been serving that, I would say, for many decades in my life, whether that's been an elected official in the United States for almost a decade, to being in servant leadership positions, whether it's faith-based or psychology-based or as a professional life coach. So this was really kind of a natural fit for me. Even when I was in the Marine Corps, I was always in the position of stepping up and leading by example. So this was really kind of a natural progression. Did I ever see myself writing a book? No, because that is not one of my natural talents, although I believe and feel like the book has done extremely well, bestseller in many categories, but that is not one of my key strengths to write a book.
No, absolutely not. But you can do it. You've manifested it. You've done it. Did law of attraction ever play any parts in, the journey to this book?
Law of attraction was definitely a huge factor in this because, as I said, I may not be gifted as a writer. I would say I'm gifted as an orator. And the way that this book actually came about was me sitting in a film studio for 3 days. And we actually filmed the entire thing, transcribed it, and then worked with some talented writers to be able to put it into a syntax. And so I would definitely say the law of attraction was about bringing the right people on board my team to get this thing, not just get the words out, but put it in a polished fashion, in a concise fashion, and really be able to make the impact. And I would say that the sales and the success of it has shown that the law of attraction definitely can work when you honor it, and it has been a really an enjoyable journey in the process of that because I attracted some incredible people to pull it off.
Yeah, absolutely, you did. Okay. Now, where do we start here? Where is the beginning here? That's what I'm trying to sort of dive into here. I think to begin with, I suppose, rather than going too much into your background, let's just go straight into what the core message of the book is.
Absolutely. So the title of the book is Time Isn't the Problem, You Are. 4 Strategies to Transform Stress into Success. And in truth, it's really kind of has a hidden agenda within it. Many people will pick up a time management book saying, what are some technology things? What are some capabilities that will allow me to manage my time better? And really the principles of this is looking at it from a different perspective, Kevin. It's really looking at it from an energy perspective and a divinity perspective and saying, there's 4 principles here. And the first is basically saying you're the problem. The solution also is within your hands. So while we have to be honest and admit that we aren't creating legendary lifestyles is often because of ourselves getting in the way, It also means that we're the prescription or the solution to being able to fix it. And so this is really about not just saying, here's a bunch of tools, because let's be honest, how many people have picked up a tool, picked up a smartphone app, or picked up, a new fandangled technology piece, only to find out that it stresses them out, that they aren't any more effective, that they aren't any happier, and that they haven't really reduced their stress. And so this is really about saying we can marry or stitch the technology with the behavior, but it's really about understanding your purpose and understanding how to operate from your highest level. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So basically, then, anything that you commit to your schedule has got to be for your highest calling. So in essence as well, don't commit to anything in your life that really isn't bringing you joy, happiness, and is that next evolution of yourself.
Well, it may be, many people will probably argue right now and saying, well, that's very Pollyanna, that's really altruistic, but it's not realistic. You don't understand my world. Well, I do understand your world. I was in the corporate world. I've been in several different fields. So whether you're an entrepreneur and what does it take to build a business from scratch, to buying a business and selling it, I have created many individual companies and turned them around or built them from scratch and sold them and been very successful there. I've been in the corporate world. I've been in the shoes of, look, I've had life suck for me at times. I've been down in the dumps and been the comeback kid in terms of, tragedy in my personal life. So I get the reality of, you don't understand, there's certain things I have to do. What this really does is it takes a look at and says, let's just use an example. How many people, if you have children, feel guilty that you don't get enough time with your kids, right? We want to spend as much time as we can, but we have other responsibilities that can get in the way.
Right.
Yet, do we have that opportunity to take them to a soccer or football practice? I have to remember, which country I'm working with here. So, do we take them to football practice? Do we drop them off at school, et cetera? So what I say is take a look at your calendar. What's the subject line say? Does it say drop kids off at school or drop kids off at football? And what I'm offering to you is to look at what is the real purpose there. Is it to drop off the kids at school, or is there something more that you can see as an opportunity? So I've had the privilege and the honor of being able to take my son to school since he was in preschool, before he even started school. And it's been one of the greatest joys and privileges that I have every day. And instead, my calendar says I have safely traveled, spending quality one-on-one time, transporting my son to school. Now, that sometimes includes having my wife go with me, but the joy is now we walk to school. It's about 1.25 miles or whatever that might be in kilometers. Mm-hmm. But we, I think a half kilometer, sort of, or 3/4 of a kilometer. But here's the principles underneath that. Very different than I've dropped my kid off. So an example of where that higher level comes in is how many people have the opportunity to spend time with their children, but we don't feel like we get enough of it. And so we put things when we have opportunities to drop them off at school or drop them off at football practice. What ends up happening is many of us are sitting in the car returning a phone call to somebody else, or returning a voicemail, or listening to a voicemail, or tuned into somebody else. And often our children are in the backseat tuned into a smartphone or a tablet device. And so you're missing a quality opportunity to have that quality time together because the language on your calendar isn't really structured in a way that is telling you to pay attention to your purpose. And so what I offer you instead is to put in your calendar, what is the real purpose? What is the experience I want to have? And so that's why mine says, I have safely traveled, spending quality one-on-one time, transporting my son to school. So the first premise is I've safely traveled means I've left with enough time to deal with congestion, construction, or accidents, or that unique individual that's giving us a hand gesture, on the road. The other part of that is we want to make sure that we're giving our best character to our children as they're watching us. And so that may be preventing us also from flipping somebody off or, calling somebody something that your children are modeling that behavior. The second is spending quality and one-on-one time means that they're not tuned into a tablet or something else, and you're not tuned into your phone or something else, but you're actually having that conversation and connecting so that you feel like you're getting enough time and that you're helping instill the character you want in your children. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yeah, I mean, someone else came on this show, and I remember them saying, actually, it's not the quantity of time, it's the quality of time as well.
Exactly. So the first principle or the first leg to this chair is that language matters. We have to understand that as a former Marine in the United States, I grew up with about 4 emotions: happy, sad, pissed, right? And that was about the extent of it. And many people don't realize the average person expresses 12 emotions on a regular basis. 12. There's over 4,000 emotions in the English dictionary. And we are limiting ourselves greatly. So language matters. And I had one of my brothers have a large family. And he said, we were working on something. He goes, oh, I said, that's a nice blue. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, that color, the blue. He goes, that's not blue. I said, what are you talking about? It's blue. He goes, no, that's royal blue. I'm like, what? He says, yeah, that's royal blue. There's navy blue, royal blue, baby blue, periwinkle. And at that moment, I realized our emotions are like shades of color. And the better that we are at differentiating or seeing those shades, the better the experiences that we can create in our lives. But we need to take those shades and insert them into the subject line of our schedules. And when we do that, that language can help bring us or connect us with our purpose. It gets us out of our head and into our hearts, because that's where we create the experiences that we can talk about for a lifetime. That's where we create legendary lifestyles.
Okay, so are you saying that before we choose to do whatever it is we're going to choose, we should try to choose it from an angle that's less stressed?
I wouldn't even say focus on less stress, because language matters really comes down to we've all seen the person in a store, a mother or a father with their children, and the kid hits the sibling, and the parent smacks him upside the back of the head and says, don't hit your brother or don't hit your sister, kind of thing. Instead of focusing on what we don't want to do, instead what I say is focus on where you do want to go. So instead you say, hey, give your brother a hug, or love your brother, love your sister. And so I help people in their schedule, because our schedules are something that we see on a regular basis. We see our schedules all day long, and it's pushing that information, that content, those beliefs into our head all day long. And so what I'm saying is be very deliberate in putting your purpose into that appointment. And if you don't see the purpose, stop and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Should I be doing it? Is this something that I should say no to, so that I can open up my schedule to say yes to the things that really do matter?
So purpose in your schedule, for example, and purpose in the bigger picture, as far as you're concerned, should always be happy, joyful, and pretty much in the moment when you're in that space.
What I offer people to do is to understand what are their core values. So if we take a tree, for example, we take an oak tree. We know at the top of that oak tree we have the leaves, right? We have the tree canopy. And this is often where society rewards us. These are the seen things. We've got photosynthesis. So photosynthesis brings in some energy, brings in some positive, some joy into our life. These are the things: our finances, our job, the kind of car that we drive, the house that we live in, all of those things, the scene in life, the things that people judge us by and say, oh, you're making it or you're not making it. And instead, what I say is photosynthesis is a small part of where a tree gets all its nourishment. Where does a tree actually get the majority of its nourishment, Kevin? At the roots. At the roots. Yeah. So we know that if you have a deep root structure, and we call our roots our values. That's the stuff here that we want to act out, that we want to live. Those are the characteristics that we want to experience in life. And so what I say is, instead of focusing on trying to accomplish these things at the top, those can complement us, but they won't complete us. Instead, what I say is, look at the roots and focus nourishing our root system so that we can actually grow and make the entire tree strong. We've seen a pine tree that has a shallow root structure get toppled over in a storm. Well, we're like a tree. If we have a shallow root structure, we don't focus on our values, they aren't represented in our subject lines, then we aren't actually nourishing those roots or nourishing the tree. And if there's a storm of life, we have stress, we have anything that comes along, it makes us topple over, roots and all. But if we actually feed those roots our values and we live by those, we actually create a strong, deep root system so that when the storms of life come by, we stay firm, we stay strong, we continue to keep that treetop, the canopy, the things that we've worked hard to complement ourselves with. So what I offer people is, instead of saying, hey, you should always be happy, what I say is think of two of the happiest memories that you can think of in your life, right? Go back, even if it's in your childhood, think of the two happiest moments in your life. And write down as much as you can about those memories. Write down everything you can that you can remember about those two memories. And when you've finished writing about those memories, just go through and circle all of the values, all of the emotions, all of the characteristics that describe that experience or those two experiences. And if you keep looking at the happiest memories that you have, there are going to be common values that keep coming up. For me, those experiences are about connecting with other people. They're about contributing beyond myself. They're about growth. They're about leadership. And so I know, gratitude, freedom, contribution beyond myself, joy. Those are some values that I know allow me to have some extraordinary experiences or happy memories in my life. And so if I look for putting those into the things that I do, our calendar is no longer filled with have to do moments. Instead, they start getting filled with I get to, or things that we want to look forward to moments in our life. And we start making quality decisions, and our lives start transforming from ordinary to extraordinary. And we transform from stress to success. Does that make sense?
It does. And okay, so someone that's got a 9-to-5 job, that time period is pretty much going to be someone else's time that you're giving for in lieu of a wage. Yet they may hate their time at that job. Maybe some do not feel 50% of their time is hated. Maybe, just a third of that.
Sure.
Whatever. But they're not in alignment with what they would really want to be doing 9 to 5 because they've lost their way in believing in themselves that they can create their own wealth or create their own financial stability.
Right.
Where does someone apply your strategies into that, for example?
Yeah, because that's the majority of people in this world. So it's not a small segment. It's the majority of people. Most people are imprisoned or are not filled up by their career. And so what we need to do there is, again, go back. Let's discover what are our core values. See how many of them are showing up in your job so that you can move from a job to maybe a career, but ultimately move from a career to a calling, serving your calling, your innate gifts, what you're born, you're here born to do. So it starts with discovering what your values are. The second is what is your purpose? Because a lot of people struggle with, well, what's my purpose? And they want to meet with a coach. They want to have somebody tell them, here's what your purpose is in life. Here's the path that you were born to be. I say, purpose is not a thing. Purpose is not one thing, Kevin. Your purpose is a feeling. How do you want to feel? What do you want to feel? And so when we go back and look at our values and we discover what our values are, then we can go back to that job that isn't fulfilling us. And we can actually find out what are the pieces that are supporting the satisfaction in that job, what are the elements that are missing, and then we can either decide, do I have the ability to insert these other values so that I can actually be passionate about what I'm doing? Or if the answer is no, it's just never going to get me there, I'm always going to be surviving, then we can start looking at how do I either take some time and block off some time on my calendar to look for a new job or search for my calling. Do I need to get more education to be able to change careers? So we can make that gradual and responsible shift in our lives so that we continue to move up that scale into joy, into fulfillment.
Yes, so you may still be doing something that's against what you really do want to be doing, but you're moving up the ladder somewhere. Like you say, you're getting that extra education in the nighttime, or you're doing something in the background that's moving you on. You're not just waiting for someone to come save you. You're taking the steps to make this possible. And those steps are outlined in the book as well.
Absolutely. So the question is are you accepting what you get? In other words, are you living in the effect of other people's decisions, other people's behavior? Or are you getting what you accept? In other words, are you the cause of your future? Do you decide? Are you in choice? So do you accept what you get? I want more money. Here's a quid. And you're going, well, that's not what I meant. Well, that's what you asked for. You weren't specific. Versus, are you getting what you accept? Saying, no, I want $14,375,082. So you have to be specific and clear, but it also may mean, look, you may have to say, what am I willing to give in return for what I want to achieve or what I want to get? And that may require patience. It might require less sleep. It might require more education. Right? So you have to be responsible or think about it's not just going to happen for you. You have to decide you're going to make it happen rather than, I'm going to win the lottery or I'll stumble upon it.
That's right. I mean, everything. Well, you tell me if these words ring true for you, but everything comes at a cost of something.
That's the whole point. So one of the third leg of the book is the rule of 168. 168 is how many hours you have in 1 week's time. Everybody is born equal to this rule. Doesn't matter what your economic background is, doesn't matter whether you were born rich or poor, whether you're male, female, what your ethnicity is, it doesn't matter. Everybody is born with 168 hours per week. So it doesn't matter if you're Bill Gates or Sir Richard Branson or Oprah Winfrey or, Netanyahu. It doesn't matter who you are, we're all equal. How we spend that time is what separates the ordinary from extraordinary. And so if you want to be extraordinary, you want to create a legendary life, you have to make decisions. How are you going to carve up that 168 hours? How are you going to choose to spend that time? And that doesn't mean, hey, I always have to be productive, Kevin. If you're going on vacation or you need some downtime, block the time off. I have every Sunday a couple hours on my calendar that just says me time. And that's a reminder to my family of, hey, it's his agenda. Don't bother me. I may decide to go for a walk, go for a bike ride, go to a movie. I might decide to do some work. I get to choose. But notice who's in cause. I am. Versus being in the effect of waiting for other people to make those decisions for me.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, you kind of want going to personify your words here as well. We have multiple purposes. I mean, you're a dad, you're a husband, you're the CEO of your own company, and you're much more than that as well with all the other little jobs that come into the day-to-day. So when we say, to someone, or when you coach someone, or when someone says to you, I want to find my purpose, that doesn't mean through all those hours that you've just mentioned there in the week that you're just going to be doing just that. I mean, we have multiple purposes, don't we?
Absolutely. We have multiple roles and multiple responsibilities. I joke and I say, I'm schizophrenic. At least I'm willing to admit it. But the reality is we all have multiple responsibilities. The question is are you deliberate when you show up for a role? Are you a parent or are you super dad or super mom? Notice the language, how it matters. Because some of us, Kevin, have different feelings about the word parent or dad or mom. Some of us didn't have great experiences with our parents. Maybe there's some tragedy. Maybe there's still some heartache there. So we have to be careful not to use limp or negative language that we associate with pain. And that's why I use the role super dad. And when I use juicy and delicious language for each of the roles that I take on, then it allows me to quickly, visually and auditorily be able to say, these are the values that I want to experience in that time, in that role, in that responsibility.
On that calendar.
On the calendar. Being super dad is not the guy sitting on the couch, drinking a beer, watching a football match, right? That might be my role as me time. Very different role. As super dad, I'm active, I'm contributing, I'm educating, I'm connecting, I'm creating deep love. Very different than in my personal time, which I call abundance, by the way. That is the role that I call my personal time. That time is about being able to be self-service, right? I'm able to be self-centered in that time, if I want to be honest about it. It's about being comfortable. It's about being relaxed. It's about not having any responsibilities, if that, as examples. And so if I'm deliberate about saying, hey, I put this hat on for this role, and that at the next event, I change my hat or my costume, I know what values I'm bringing to the experience, and I'm present in that experience. How many of us are filled with to-dos, and we're physically there, but mentally we're checked out. We're not even there. And it's because we're not specific. We don't know what values to embody during that experience.
Okay, so you obviously work with your calendar, be it online or a physical calendar, right? And
yes.
How is that working out for you compared to a to-do list?
So my calendar, I hate to-do list. Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs, was adamant about how much he despised a to-do list, and I believe that he got it right. And the reason for that is a to-do list never ends. You could have 10 items on there, and as soon as you check off one, you're putting 3 on. So there's never a moment of completion, a moment of celebration and joy. Instead, what I actually offer, and it goes into the depth in the book, I offer capture list. And so I can create capture list, and it goes through 3 different bins, how I structure those bins, but all of those bins always end up on my calendar so that I'm not multitasking, so that I don't have multiple calendars. What do I mean by that? How many of us have a formal calendar, and then we have a to-do list? And oh, wait, we have an email inbox. Oh, wait, we have little sticky notes. All of those are calendars with a different exterior skin. All of those are competing for the 168 hours that we have. So here we have a formal calendar, whether it's computer or a day planner or something, that's already filled. And we wonder why we're stressed out, because we've already got a filled calendar there. Then we have sticky notes. Then we have to-do lists. Then we have an inbox. So we're actually creating about 200 hours worth of work that we've already got a packed calendar that's only 168 hours worth of time. And so what I say is get rid of all of that other stuff and stick with one system that allows you to say, here's where I need to make decisions. Here's where I can make choices and say, this is important, but it's not urgent. I'm going to move this to next week or to tomorrow. So we're actually making decisions that eliminate or reduce our stress.
But obviously, emails need replying to, don't they?
So schedule your email time. I tell people, turn off the inbox notification. That little bubble that pops up on your screen or on your phone or on your tablet, turn off all notifications. No ding, 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 ding that stresses us out. It's like Pavlov's dog. As soon as we hear that ding, we're like, oh, I'm losing. Oh, I can't keep up. It's the same thing as if somebody walked in right now in our conversation and said, hey, Kevin, you got a minute? No, I'm busy. I'm focused. You wouldn't let that person interrupt you right now, yet we do the same thing with our email. So what I tell people to do is turn off the notifications and block the time. I block it 3 times a day, which also means that I have to train my customers. When I started doing that, I had to reframe people. Hey, I check email 3 times a day. If it's urgent, please put it in the subject line and then text or call me. Email should not be something that you communicate at urgent matters. You can send it and then you pick up the phone and call somebody.
Yeah, okay. And so basically, by applying the techniques, in the end, it does transform stress into success. The stress is less if we were to use the method that you're suggesting, actually, which is really putting the best use of your time into those things that are really passionate, are really what you want to be doing, and making the most of them as well when you do them, being present when you do them as well. It seems so easy, though, doesn't it, to suggest this? Yet,
And that's the thing, is it's natural, but let's use another example. Workout. How many of us actually feel good about working out?
well, I work
We
out,
go,
and
well,
yeah, yeah. I'm
but
always wanting
okay,
to
so
get out the gym because I'm like, oh God, I've been here an hour. Do you know what I mean? I need to get back to work, kind of thing. But then I do enjoy, the results
what do
from
you
it, of
enjoy
course.
about what do you enjoy about that activity?
Building my muscles. There you go. How vain is that? But that's true.
No, that's great. So when you build your muscles and you see that you're fit, you're cut, what does that mean to you, Kevin?
I do it for myself. Why am I doing it? I think I had a bit of an addiction to bodybuilding at one time, so I've tamed it down, and I've just I'm just enjoying. It gives me a break, but it also
So it makes you feel good.
yeah, not doing it doesn't, because but actually the results, yes, I do enjoy. Yeah, yeah. As
You
vain
get
as that is,
results.
yeah.
So most of us have been programmed and brainwashed to put the word workout on our calendar. And when we see that word, for the vast majority of us, it doesn't feel good, even though it is good for us. And instead, what I offer them to do is look into what is it you're getting out of that workout? What is it that you're actually receiving? Is it a fit body that makes you feel good about yourself, makes you feel that you can love yourself? Is it allowing you to maybe have some more of that intimate time with a partner because she's attracted or he's attracted to you? That's what needs to show up in the subject line. For me, I lead adventures and do a lot of philanthropy work. And so my workouts will say leading by example, showing my children what's possible, or leading by example, inspiring my team to be capable of going across the Grand Canyon and back. So I'm very explicit, and I put the emotions, the values, and the purpose in the subject line. See, what hasn't changed is the vehicle. We're still working out, but we've changed the meaning. And that is how we get rid of the stress.
Well, what if you've got, like myself, and there's others out there as well, just the same, you've come across them, and yourself probably as well, where you've got multiple businesses. You say to yourself sometimes, should I have listened to that channeled message when it said to me, just stick with the one? But, life's taking you down a course where it's just, at the particular time, 3 has happened, for example. And you're juggling.
There's 2 things I would offer.
You're juggling a few things.
You're trying to make a decision, which gets the priority.
Yeah.
And am I dwelling in it too much? There's 2 things that I would offer. The first is, as Ronald Reagan said, the former president of the United States, trust but verify. How many of us trust implicitly or blindly, and we don't verify whether that's a trustworthy activity or trustworthy person? The second is to ask yourself, what are you willing to give in return for the outcome that you desire? Napoleon Hill offers that up in his book, it's in my book, because it's a brilliant question. What are you willing to trade? Are you willing to let go of something else? Are you willing to make less money? Are you willing to sleep less? Are you willing to have less personal time? What are you willing to trade? Because you've got 168 hours, and what separates you is how you use that time.
Yes, I think that's so true, and I can only talk for myself here, and if it does help anyone, me mentioning myself and my example of transparency, I hope it does. I think what I gave to be in Amsterdam was friends, family, a lot of things really to come over and make these businesses that I needed to be here for to make work. But you can't do that all your life. I mean, there would be a life in the future where a family would be nice, settling down, enjoying other things. But I think you have to, sometimes if you want these things or whatever it is you want to manifest, I think it's so true what you say. You have to give, something has to give for a result somewhere down the future for something to happen. And if you're in alignment with what you're doing, you're listening to your intuition, well, maybe you've made no mistakes and you're just where you need to be.
Well, here's the thing. The system is meant to be dynamic. It's not a perfect system. It's designed to be flexible because our lives have to be flexible, Kevin. It doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect or that you won't make mistakes. The question is when you make those mistakes, will it create regrets or simply moments that you said, I'll get it right next time? See, I can say I've made more mistakes than most people, but they aren't regrets. No. Each one of them were being done for me, not being done to me.
Being done for you, not to you. Okay. But you were making the choice.
I was in many of those situations. I was making the choice. In the situations where, it was external factors that made things happen. We can't always expect that life's going to be fair or that people are always going to be honest or that people won't make self-serving decisions, right? Bad things happen to good people. It's a fact of life. The question is are you able to be better than the referee's bad calls? Are you willing to get up when life knocks you on your knees? Or are you going to stay down there? Are you going to use your tragedies as an excuse for poor decisions now and in the future? Or are you going to use it as an explanation and use that as leverage of how to do things different, how to do things better, and be victorious, be the comeback kid?
Absolutely. That's how it's always been. You just pick yourself up, don't you? And you keep carrying on. But hopefully you carry on having learned something from previous.
Yeah. I mean, I look at myself as what you would find in the book. I was with my first wife for 10 years. It ended in tragedy. It was terrible the way that it ended. And she looks at it as it was a waste of 10 years of her life. I look at it as I'm a better person because of those 10 years. I am now successful in a marriage that I've been in for nearly 15 years now and have not a good, I don't have a great, I have an extraordinary marriage because of those other 10 years. I didn't use that as an excuse to give up and say, all women are bad. All the good ones are taken. No, I used it as what do I need to do to work on me to get it right the next round? And I still work at it. And that's what makes it extraordinary. And I don't make excuses.
No, absolutely not. And do you find, which way would you look at this? Would you look at it as in the sense of doing what you love is then helping others, or helping others is the most important thing, and that comes from doing what you love as well? Or is it the same thing?
That's a chapter in the book about you are divine. And I don't see as it's an or conversation. People say, is it material or spiritual? And I don't see that it's either, Kevin. I look at it and say, why can't it be an and conversation? If we look at the yin and yang symbol from the Far East, it's a circle with a line in it, white and black. And I say that life is about being an and conversation. Why can't it be self-serving and servant leading together and being able to find that balance? And that balance, by the way, in a marriage as an example, a marriage is never 50-50. The old Jerry Maguire line, if you've watched that, is, oh, you complete me. That's a bunch of crap. A spouse is not meant to complete you. They're meant to complement us. And so there are times where we have to be self-centered. We have to be self-serving so that we can re-energize. We can actually get filled up so that when we go and do other things to serve other people, we are present mentally and physically and prepared to serve them at our best. But see, everybody thinks, oh, you just need to give, give, give. Well, the problem with that is you're not generating and you're draining down. And I believe that each of us is a spring well inside, that we can manifest that energy. And it's like a spring well. You can take as much as you want out of that well, and the water level never drops, because we can take energy from the universe. Everything around us is merely energy. And all we have to do is be in cause and reach out to that old-fashioned radio dial and tune into the frequency that we want to listen to. But the vast majority of the world is listening to white static. You're not even tuned into a radio station. And then those that are miserable are listening to something that they don't enjoy. And they think, oh my gosh, this noise, this job, everything sucks. This is terrible. And they're waiting for somebody to change the channel. And I say reach out, be in cause, and tune the channel into what you want to listen to, into the frequency that lights you up. But you have to be able to know your values, and then you have to be willing to schedule it out and make it real.
Absolutely, that's an important part, which is what your work's about, the scheduling out of it as well. And I mean, just out of curiosity, I mean, how many hours sleep do you live off?
That's actually one of the things I talk about in the book. Is most people subscribe to what I call a 5-2 week. 5 days working, getting up at on some ungodly hour that they don't want to get up at, and then 2 days on the weekend that they sleep in or they party and then try to catch up on their sleep. Scientifically, we've shown and we've proven that that is an ineffective strategy. You cannot catch up on those 2 days. And what it actually does, Kevin, is it screws up your circadian rhythm. Instead, I subscribe to a 7-day model. I get up same time every day. I haven't set an alarm in probably 25 years. It's rare, if I have to get up at an unusual time to catch a flight or something. Yeah. But I go to sleep when I'm tired, and I wake up when I'm refreshed. So I go to bed around the same time when my body says, hey, it's time to go to sleep. And I wake up when my body says, you're ready to go. And I actually use software and track right here, as a matter of fact. I track my sleep patterns, and I can see I consistently get within a matter of minutes the exact same amount of sleep night after night, because I have a circadian rhythm that my body honors, and it goes in an ebb and flow of the seasons.
That's very, very interesting. Okay, another question then on that.
So, by the way, in doing that,
yes,
I need less sleep.
Oh, you do?
Believe it or not. Because I have a flow, my body is in a rhythm, and I actually don't have to sleep 9 hours or anything like that. Because I'm in a rhythm, I'm actually getting the right amount of sleep.
Okay. Are you hard on yourself if you ever sort of wake up? Okay, well, what if someone's waking up... because sleep's an important aspect of this as well. What if someone's, waking up in like 9, 10 in the daytime? They're sort of going to bed at like, maybe 2, 3 o'clock at night time, waking up at 9, 10. I think you can be quite hard on yourself sometimes from the fact that, oh shit, I've woke up and this is the time I should be doing something, not waking up. But then I suppose if that's your schedule, that's your pattern, and that's what you've kind of gone into, I suppose maybe you're just being a bit hard on yourself.
Well, you might ask yourself, do you use that behavior to drive you to being productive, right? Are you addicted to that stress that then gets you to take action? The other question is if you're honoring the rule of 168, it also means that you're scheduling some padding into your schedule. Padding is not just for furniture. It means that you have some cushion, some spaces in there where you don't have hard commitments, so that if you need a little bit of extra sleep or something happened and your schedule's off, that you can move things around and be flexible rather than being stressed out. So there's a couple of principles in there, and one is creating some flexibility. The other is asking yourself, are you believing in the best of yourself? So when you follow a schedule that honors you, then it also complements and allows you to have the ebb and flows of your sleep patterns. The question is are you giving enough space in there so that you're not stressed out? Many people will do the following, okay? Oh, I have to respond to an email, just as a general example. That email I think should take 5 minutes. Well, what happens when that email takes 10 minutes? Do you feel like you're winning, or do you beating yourself up? Oh, crap, now I'm behind.
Yep, you've beaten yourself up, aren't you? Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, yeah.
So this is where language matters. This is where your schedule, you go in and you say, you know what, if I think it's going to be 5, maybe I found that in my experience, it might take 10. Let me schedule 10 minutes. And if it only takes 5, you go, woohoo, I got 5 extra minutes. Now you're celebrating. Now you're actually winning, going, what do I want to do with this 5 minutes? So we need to give ourselves enough padding, enough space in there to deal with the things that are going to come at us, the things that we can't plan for, the emergencies or the unexpected interruptions that happen in life. So you also need to make sure that you have enough of that in there to be able to be prepared and be flexible to go with the flow or handle the punches as they come.
Well, that's a great bit of a good advice there. Yeah, okay. So is your day planned out pretty much by the calendar? I mean, is that...
Yes, and that is part of where I go into those capture lists in the 3 different bins, Kevin. I go into the detail. One of those bins is actually called the not doing never list, okay? And that bin is anything that I want to do, but I cannot, for whatever reason, I go into a lot more detail. I'm being high level here intentionally. But it's something that I cannot say, this is when I'm actually going to commit to it on my calendar. So, for example, I want to go to space still. And society's going to tell you, oh, come on, Chad, you're too old. You're in shape, but you're too old, or oh, it's too expensive, or you're not an astronaut. Well, we know that commercial space travel is right around the corner. We know if you have enough money today, you can make it happen.
Yes.
But here's the reality. It's not a big enough priority right now for me to say, I'm going to do it, Kevin. So that goes into my not doing never list. And every 90 days, I have an appointment on my calendar for 45 minutes to just look at everything in that list and see, is it something I'm ready to actually make reality? That's how I've been to, almost around the world, all over the place. That's how in 2 weeks I'll be in the South Pacific, because it was something I said, hey, I want to go dive the Great Barrier Reef. That was on my calendar, on my list years ago. And then this year I said, it's time to make it happen. And so I took it off there and I put it in my calendar as multiple appointments, research, where do I want to go? When do I want to go? What airlines am I going to take? How long do I want to be there? Multiple things to answer, things like hotel, events that I want to experience, all those kind of things. And pretty soon, when you space that out and you actually put those in, it becomes a reality. It's no longer a dream. And that's how your bucket list becomes reality. That's how at the age of 35, I accomplished 900 of the world's most popular bucket list items.
Congratulations on that, man. 35, bloody hell, that's still very young. Okay.
Because this system works.
Yeah, it works.
It's a proven system built for the 21st century.
And let's just say, when you do go on holiday, that Office 365 calendar is out of the equation. You're then not living by the calendar. You're just doing, that's your time. That's
Oh, sure I am.
Yeah.
Sure I am. But here's the thing on that calendar, Kevin. My calendar is also color-coded. Most online calendars, whether it's Office 365 or Google Calendar or Apple's version, they have a thing called categories that are colors. There's a reason that they're there. You need to go into those categories and relabel them, change it from red to, workout, or your whatever those juicy and delicious rolls are.
Yeah.
So anything that is in orange means I have to travel somewhere. Right. And that responsibility, that role is excursionist. So whether that's going to the grocery store or that's on an airplane, I'm an excursionist, which means the values are curiosity.
Well, that's a really interesting point as well. You just mentioned the grocery shop. What about if something things come up in life, don't they? Someone's knocking at the door, whatever it may be, that's not scheduled. How do you approach non-scheduled problems then, when they come in? Because obviously that's going to affect then the schedule completely, isn't it? If someone says to you, can you just pop to the shop and, go do this or go do that for me because, whatever is really needed. How do you handle blips like that?
Well, that's one of the bins, and the things go into that. The things that come up throughout the day go into the first bin, the doing now bin. At the end of the day, you have to empty that bin. Either A, it goes into your calendar for a future date, Or B, it goes into the next bin called the not doing now, and you deal with that at the beginning of each week. Or C, it's been done. Or D, you say no. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to create boundaries. You know, those things that most people don't know how to honor. So it's going to allow you to be able to say no to something, or be able to say, you know what? I wanted to do this event, but I need to get to the grocery store. I'm going to move this event out, and I'm going to put this event in. So that event that you move out might go to tomorrow, might go to next week. You might just delete it and say it's really not that important.
Important what you've just said there, because that really does take the stress away from it completely. You know, stress as well of trying to get something completed, trying to get something done. We really do cause ourselves a lot of damage there, don't we, sometimes? I know in a business model, things need to be done at set times, but we can apply your coaching to even the business model, most definitely. And actually, it's we're not saying we can't stick by schedules, because with business it is quite important, but you know, there's only so much of Ched, there's only so much of Kev, and there's only so much of other people out there, and you can only do your best sometimes, can't you?
Correct. And so I kind of relate it to Alcoholics Anonymous. The first step in Alcoholics Anonymous, the first step is admitting you have a problem. Same with your time. First step is admitting you have a problem. You will always have more to do than you're going to have time to do it in. Between now and the day that the Grim Reaper comes to get you. The question is, Kevin, if the Grim Reaper came to your door right now, came to you at this moment, most of us would say, well, wait a minute. I need one more week. I need to get my affairs in order. I need to be able to say goodbye to the people that matter to me. And the Grim Reaper would likely say, what have you done with the last 45 weeks? Why should I give you one more week when you've pissed away the last 45? And so it's about being deliberate with the experiences that we want and saying no to the things that don't matter and making room for the things that do.
Which comes back to the whole essence of your work as well, most definitely.
Correct.
Well, what about then? Let's just get back to passion, you know, because this is what we started the conversation off with, passion and doing what you would love to do. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, that's fine as well, because maybe you need to do what you need to do now, which will lead you on to what you really, really want to do, but you just need the ABC sort of, way forward to get that. You can't get to C unless you've gone through A and B.
Right.
So there are things in our passion, like there are things in my passion, where there's a lot of sucky things where you if you don't do these things, then you can't bloody, do what the bigger picture. So, for example, I can't stand the editing sometimes. It takes forever. Or, getting guests on is very time consuming. You've got other projects you're trying to do as well. And what I'm saying is it's not all rosy living your passion sometimes.
That's a great point that you're making. Here's what I do, okay? I'm going to give you 7 characteristics to look at the things that you say, these are the things that suck. Compare those to the things that you love doing. And ask yourself, are these 7 qualities, write these qualities down. Number 1, do you see your purpose in that activity? Do you know your mission? So the first is mission. The second is are you free in the pursuit of that, or is it imprisoning you? So, for example, booking guests is not something that you feel that you're freely doing. You feel that you have to do, right?
It's part of doing the bigger picture, yeah.
Yeah. Third is, are you doing it from a place of love or a place of resentment, out of duress? So the third is love. The fourth element is, do you feel safe? Does it create an essence of safety? Fifth is, does it allow you to fill up? Sixth, is there adventure? And then 7th, does it allow you to speak your truth in love? There's a vast difference between speaking your truth and speaking your truth in love. And we want to go for speaking our truth in love. And if the answer is that there's more elements present than missing out of those 7, so let's say 4 out of 7 are there, then you're probably serving your purpose. You're probably enjoying that activity, and you should probably continue to do it. Maybe look, how do you fill in the other 3 elements? But if the answer is no, those elements or those characteristics or those qualities are missing, then you need to either say, should I be doing this? Is this my work to do? Or can I leverage technology or other people to do it for me? So I feel for you. I absolutely hate having to schedule clients. When I coach people, I hate having to do that. When I speak on television, on radio, that's not something I enjoy doing. So guess what? I have people that do it for me. So I've leveraged other people. I've leveraged technology. So you can book time with me using my online calendar. It shows, here's my availability. I've used technology to offset and close the gap. So I'm spending time doing the things I love and not doing crap that I find miserable. Now, it comes back to the question, what are you willing to give in return for having the outcome that you desire? I was willing to give money.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But that frees up the time on my calendar. So guess what? I'm present. I'm joyful. I'm filled with gratitude for the things that I'm doing.
And you may be listening to this, and you may be at the point of your life where you're just trying to make the money right now, and it may not. You may not be at the stage of being able to, offset. Use money to be able to offset some of these things, then to create more time and then even more abundance and wealth in your life. So if you are at the stage of at the very beginning, where whatever you're doing, all you have really is your time to give,
then you have to ask the question, what are you willing to give to make more money?
Yes, exactly.
Are you willing to get a second job? Are you willing to go back to school and get a higher education? Are you willing to change jobs, less sleep? What are you willing to give in order to have the money to afford the things that you want?
That's right. Or are you willing to... Yeah. Sorry,
and then block it on your calendar. Yeah. And when you put it on your calendar, make sure you have the purpose, right? Maybe the purpose is to make more money. You're putting the purpose on there, building the bridge to being able to quit my job. Or building the bridge to be able to do what I really love. So it's about connecting all of that together.
And actually,
so that when you're on your calendar, by the way, those 7 qualities are showing up. You're serving your mission. You're free in the pursuit of it. You love it, and it's filling you up on and on.
So true. So true. And by putting that, as you've just personified there, you're building the bridge. You could put that on your calendar, right? Just as an example you gave there. And I think even having something small like that, it may not be that. This is just an example. Even having something small like that is a transformer to transform any stress in the present moment, because you realize, oh, well, this is something I really want to do, and I've chosen that, and this is my bridge to get there. That's the stage that I'm at. Let's enjoy it. I think when you're in love with life, everything is easy.
Correct. That's when you're operating from your highest level. When those 7 qualities are there, that's when you're operating from your highest self, and that's when life becomes easy. That's when life becomes fulfilling.
And I think
it doesn't mean it's going to be hard, but boy, is it worth it. Or I'm sorry, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. In fact, some of the things that those best memories that you have may have been in the toughest moments of your life, because you actually had to bring in the values that really matter to you.
Yeah, that you're right there. Yeah, the toughest, most definitely. They could well be. Yes. And to outsiders, it may look, wow, that's incredible. But to yourself, because you're in that vortex, it's different. It's very, very different. We've run out of time here. Well,
we haven't. But by the way, you sound completely different than when we first started as well, Kevin.
I was a little bit stressed. I will say that. I was a little bit stressed. Today's just been one of those days. But I think all I'm thinking right now is that, shit, I'm going to get my Office 365 out. I'm going to start blocking some things. That was one thing I was going to say to you as well. You mentioned this as well, actually, just giving a little bit of time back to yourself within... do you think actually just giving a little bit of time back to yourself within a day, just an hour a day, it could be...
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I love color coding. Because when I color code on my schedule, I can see... I'm a very visual person, and I can see very quickly, by color what roles I'm playing out today. And then I can look at 7 days, 168 hours. And for me, that personal time, Kevin, is green. And so if I'm getting stressed, if things are getting heavy, I can quickly look at my schedule and go, there's not enough green. No wonder why. And then I can make a decision. What am I willing to move off of there to put some personal time, some green into my life?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're still very, there's still quite a bit of spirituality in this as well, which is very interesting.
It's all energy.
It
and that's
is.
the thing is, as you're looking at those colors, you're looking at the energy.
It is, isn't it? It really, really is. Yeah.
Your calendar, by the colors and the things that you're doing, your calendar can tell you, is the energy you're creating cancerous, or is it creating flow and fulfillment, filling you up?
Yeah.
So it's been a pleasure.
Well, just before you go, one thing I should have plugged at the beginning, I'm going to do it right now. How come, look, you coach people internationally, of course, so
Yes.
they can come on to communicate with yourself, obviously via email to begin with, but they can have a coaching session via Skype, is that right?
They can. In fact, I'll give our audience today a couple of things. One, they can go out and they can pick up my book out on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, any of the local bookstores, okay? Or you can get it online. It's from a major publisher that has made it available worldwide. If you're looking for the Concorde jet to the other side of the world, you want to get there faster, and you're really committed to it, then you can go to chadecooper.com/apply, and you can actually apply to be considered as part or to join the membership program, where I actually will take you through 12 weeks of really going in and making this reality. It's actually a program to walk you through how to turn your life from ordinary to extraordinary. And so that's available to people as well. And then I keep a very small, intentional coaching practice, and you really have to convince me that you're committed for me to want to take you on. And you're going to be competing with some extraordinary people for those slots. So there's multiple ways that you can do this. You just choose which one you're committed to, and I'm happy to support you.
Excellent. Okay. Well, your website's been coming up on the screen throughout this interview, and so has your book as well. And many ways to contact you. Actually, we'll put some of those links just below this video as well. I don't really want to let you go, but I've got to right now, so because I'll be going into your schedule otherwise, which I've probably gone over anyway. But
we're good.
I'd just like to say
we're good because I created enough padding for those unexpected situations.
I thought you was going to say that. That's good. Well, I appreciate you allowing me to. To have your time today, and to shed some light on your work as well, most definitely. Well, Chad Cooper, I would just like to say thank you so much for joining us today.
It has been a joy and pleasure to be with you as well, Kevin. Look forward to any time in the future as well.
Most definitely. Well, we've come to an end on today's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on the More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on all past and upcoming guests on the show via themoreshow.com, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.